Good morning. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us for another edition of the Morning Breeze, man. Always rocking with you guys, as always, man. Outside of me, I got my guy, Mr. Media himself, Jordan Jenkins, in the building.
Pat, do you hear me? Guys, are you all actually seeing us in the chat right now? Because right now I am seeing a freezed up Pat looking to the left. I don't know if you guys actually hear me or if you guys cannot see us at all. I don't know if the internet connection is crazy because today is pretty cold. But if you do hear me, what is going on, chat? Good morning. Good morning. Let me know if you hear me. Trying to get through some technical difficulties. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Well, that makes it a whole lot more complicated because I don't know what's going on with Pat right now, but we got a good show for you guys. No Shades JC. Yes, of course. I wanted you guys to actually see me today. I take away the glasses often. Usually it was a bit before because at first it was just one of those things where if the Bears win, then those were the victory glasses. It is the JC show now. I've taken over. I actually purposely called up Comcast and said, hey, why don't you cut that service off so I can have my own morning show? It's the meeting morning on Monday. That's right. No, I'm just messing with you. I'm pretty sure he'll be back here soon. But some of the topics that we were actually going to go over today is if the Chicago Bears are going to likely pass on from tagging Teven Jenkins and Keenan Allen per ESPN. I know Pat has an article coming out, and he's going to be discussing that very soon as to whether or not we should actually go that route. And then we're also going to be talking about The Athletic just came out with a Chicago Bears mock draft. Of course, you know, this is the time of the season where we're going to be seeing who the Bears could potentially be picking, whether or not they are you all hearing me? Hold on. I'm not seeing if the chat is saying they can hear me or not. Okay, am I good? Sorry, guys. This show is starting off very, very swimmingly this Monday. Okay, you do hear me. Okay. All right. Cool. So, like as always, man, we appreciate you all supporting us. Obviously, man, everybody in here, the norms. We got JP. We got It's Crimson You Dig is always supporting us. King Book of World. What's going on? Chirac Fan 24. I seen Nova in here. Michael Curry. What's good? Chadwick. How y'all feeling today, man? Monday morning. I know you guys are probably either going to work or trying to enjoy this morning Monday. So, again, appreciate all the support. Continue to subscribe to the channel. Y'all know what to do. You know what Pat says all the time. I don't know his moniker. You all know what to do. Obviously, hit that like button, subscribe, smash that subscribe button. But we are going to try and discuss first off if Teven Jenkins and Keenan Allen are worthy of actually being tagged. We discussed whether or not Keenan Allen would be someone who would we retain. Obviously, you know, there's a lot of different directions that we could go in. We talked about the fact that wide receiver is a position that is not really of big importance when it comes to what the Chicago Bears should be really keying in on and focusing on this offseason. But, I mean, the question, obviously, I'll pose it to you guys. We'll have a little bit of a chat breakdown as well until Pat gets here. Hopefully, he'll be returning soon. But do you all think that it's actually a good thing to retain Keenan Allen and Teven Jenkins? We know the history, first off, of Teven Jenkins. Obviously, he's going through a lot of injuries, but you know what he also can provide when he's actually on the field. I mean, this guy is a mauler. He's aggressive. He's someone who can impact the game and one of the best guards in the league when healthy. But that is always the problem, right? When a person's availability is the biggest question mark, my thing is, okay, do you move forward? Is it better that we just start over fresh, especially when we have all of these things we need to address on the offensive line? It's not just guard, it's left tackle. Do we upgrade from Braxton Jones? It's obviously the center position. We know Coleman Shelton has the great mind for the game, but he is just not able to do what he can do, because he's on the smaller side as far as when it comes to the center position. Then, of course, there's the right guard position. We know the failed experiment with Nate Davis wasting $10 million. We know Poles took an L on that one. And then, of course, Matt Pryor came in and handled himself pretty good as a backup. But it's time to move on, and it's time, obviously, to improve this line. And so the question is, do you tag a Teven Jenkins? Well, my thing is, I would say it's a possibility, right? All of this hinges on what we do in free agency, which is coming up here very soon. You have a lot of different names on the mark. You have Kevin Zeitler. You have, obviously, the big fish in Trey from Kansas City. But, of course, we talked about it before, whether or not Kansas City will be smart enough to actually let him get to the point of looking at other teams. I don't think that's a route that they'll take. And, of course, I see some of you all sitting there saying Tev is a good backup guard at this point, Relentless Mikey. Reduce his snaps and you reduce his injury potential. See, here's the thing with that. I partially agree with that. I partially agree with the fact that you can reduce his snaps, but a lot of the injuries Tevin has actually gotten, and we joke about it, but honestly, some of them have not even been on the field. Tevin had an issue with both of his calf muscles off the field. Now, with the speculation about what he was doing, but we don't know. We don't know where those injuries came from. And then there's other things. There's freak injuries that happen. I believe there was one where he kind of got crossed up a little bit. He got in a pile and his leg bit back. We don't know exactly, when an injury is going to happen. And so even if you say you kind of tail back his minutes, or you kind of spare him from being a starter, I wouldn't go that route. I wouldn't go that route with the fact that Teven Jenkins should be a backup. He is still a legitimate starter in this league. He's not at the point where I think he should be behind someone. If we're going to have Teven Jenkins on this team, he has to be one of the starting guards. That's just how I feel. Let's see what Truman has to say. He says, yes, no to Tev. Can't keep running with backups after the first 3 weeks. Everybody's saying that Teven is a backup. You all are really putting some some hurt on Teven. Tagging Teven would cost like $20 million. If you sign him, you can probably save half that. See, again, that's the question mark. Of course, we're going into this offseason with a lot of money. We also talk about the cap casualties, people that we can let go of, like a Gerald Everett. We talked about some other positions that we can let go of so we can actually have some money and retain some people. But my thing is, we don't know for sure, right? And so that's my whole thing is I don't believe Teven is worthy of that big of a contract. Like you mentioned, $20 million. It's probably better if we were to retain him and tag him, but is he worth it? And that's the biggest question. Truman says, I'm saying he is injury prone. Okay, that's what you're saying. Okay, I got you. So you wouldn't keep him. Baki, of course, coming in. What's going on, Baki? Teven has to go to a team with a better medical staff. Hopefully with all the changing, the coaching changes and the staff changes, hopefully the medical staff here is a little bit better. I don't know where we rank when it comes to the medical team in the NFL, but that probably is a key part as well. Tagging him would cost $20 million. Yeah, see, that's my biggest deal. Oh, do we have Pat? Is he back?
Am I kind of back? No,
you're back. You look back.
I've seen this internet connection button. It may not be for long.
Okay. I was just chatting it up with the chat.
Breeze Nation, what's good? Comcast, you'll be getting a message from me today.
Uh-oh.
I'm on your heels.
Swift kicking the Comcast.
Oh, my goodness, dog. What's good, y'all? It's your boy, Pat the Designer, all that good stuff. He done started the show already.
I tried my best.
That's all good. This internet is sketchy at best right now. Apparently now I have the whenever it gets cold, the internet starts to die kind of internet, and I don't like that.
Same for me.
I've never had this. I've never had an issue with Comcast like this, bro.
All the time for me. Trust me. When it rains, yes.
Woo! Hey, yeah. Shout out Josh Canal. He said Pat's got some Eberflus connection going on. Hey, listen. My internet called timeout. I don't know if it's Eberflus. I don't know if it's Flus. I can't say it's Flusy, but no, man, listen, I'm jumping in kind of in the middle of this, but I love the conversation you're having, about Teven Jenkins and, a lot of the concerns. Really, he's the one that is the standout in all of this, right? Because realistically, we're all kind of in on moving on from Keenan Allen. I don't think that's a major question for most people right now. But the Tevin Jenkins one is interesting because to me, it's again, it's not a talent issue, but is it worth it to keep somebody around who you have to rely on so much? That's really kind of the question that I have. Is it worth it to keep somebody around who you have to go out there and rely on so heavily? Now, Courtney Cronin was the one that put this out on ESPN, said the Bears used the franchise tag in 2024 as a placeholder on cornerback Jalen Johnson to execute a long-term deal. Just 2 days later, Chicago's two pending free agents, receiver Keenan Allen and guard Teven Jenkins, wouldn't qualify for the tag for a number of reasons. Allen will be 33 this season, and Jenkins missed 23 games over 4 seasons because of injury. It's more likely the Bears let both players walk and find their replacements in free agency or the draft. So I mean, that kind of, when you look at 23 missed games over 4 years, how many games are we not talking about that he didn't finish? How many games are we talking about that he started and it didn't end up working out, that he could make it to the end of that game? How many games did he how many times are you talking about him going into weeks where we're like, we don't know if he's going to be healthy, but he's our best option, so we kind of got to go with him. So he gets all the number 1 reps, and then the week gets there, and 2 weeks again, I mean, or I'm sorry, 2 minutes into the game, you're having the same conversation on, well, here comes Larry Barham or Barome, depending on which announcer. Here comes Larry Barome into the game, and hopefully he'll be able to, you know what I mean? Like, I think you continue to put your team in bad positions when you're having to rely on somebody who is as injury prone as Tevin has been.
Yeah, it's now time to move forward. And as I was kind of alluding with the chat, I know a lot of people felt like maybe you bring him back on the tag because it's cheaper than signing him. What would it cost? Probably it'd be in the 20s to actually sign Tevin, if that. I don't know, but I mean, he's not worth that in my opinion because of the lack of ability to stay on the field. It's not the production. It's never been the production. You do not question his output. You do not question his effort, his desire, his talent level, but you do question whether or not he's actually able to be consistent and healthy. And with guys that big, they, as you mentioned before, they don't get healthier from those type of injuries. When you have injuries all across from head to toe, it's like, okay, well, this guy's a walking what is the medical sign? He's a walking plus
wheelchair, walking wheelchair.
Is that what you said? That's his emoji. That's
like, a walking handicap sign.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It's a handicap for Tevin. So it's like you know you move on. This is the off season where we're going to address a lot of issues on the trenches. I think that he's replaceable at this point because there are healthier options out there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And listen, there's some other options here that the Bears can kind of.
Oh, come back, Pat. What do we got? Oh no! Oh my goodness, this is not going well, guys. Okay, I think we lost Pat again. Xfinity's got some explaining to do. I don't know what's going on. It's crazy because actually Xfinity is working just fine for me. Usually when it gets cold or it's raining or it's snowing, I'm in the same boat. Usually it messes up. So Comcast is going to have to answer for this. I don't know what's going on, but hopefully Pat can come back very soon. But kind of want to transition real quick to Keenan Allen. He obviously we've talked about Tevin Jenkins, through and through about what he can bring to the field, but also is it worth it at this point? And as Pat I think was about to allude to, there's just better options out there. There's just better options. Yeah, I agree, King Book. We're back gonna have to write a swift letter. You're gonna see angry Pat in a minute. But let's just transition to Keenan Allen real quick. Now we know that Keenan Allen, for lack of a better word, he's long in the tooth, right? He's an aging star. I believe that he's still someone who is very valuable in this league, especially in the position that we put him in this past year as being a wide receiver 3, someone who is very pivotal in the locker room, who can be a guide, a mentor to up-and-coming receivers such as Aroma Dunze. and even give some knowledge to somebody like DJ Moore, our wide receiver one, And so the question is, do you retain a Keenan Allen? We've seen the reports that Keenan Allen initially said that it's either here or LA. He wants to either go back to where it all started, or he's fine with being here. Now, whether or not the Chicago Bears agree with him and keeping him, the question is, would you retain him? And I know that he's made a lot of money. I believe he's an unrestricted free agent going into 2025. And so what kind of contract would you tag him as well for the cheap and bring him back? Or are there other options? We mentioned that there are other options that maybe you can develop that are already on this team. We talked about Tyler Scott. You have a Colin Johnson that's still on the roster. There's so many different directions that you could go. And then, of course, there's other talented prospects that we could possibly address for wide receiver 3 that is going to be coming up here in the draft in the later rounds. My thing is, I know that he's lost a step. We saw it this past offseason where there were some questionable things with Keenan Allen, some errant drops. We knew Keenan Allen as someone who was always sure-handed. Whenever you saw, the Chargers, he was the go-to guy, obviously, on third downs. The thing that, and of course, yes, I agree, Relentless Mikey. That's what kind of broke me a little bit too. Is you saw some dropped balls that were just like, wow, that's Keenan Allen. He doesn't usually, drop a pass. Even in the, I don't know if anybody saw the Super Bowl. Well, obviously, if you saw the Super Bowl, but DeAndre Hopkins, there was a pass from Patrick Mahomes to a wide open DeAndre Hopkins. It hit him straight in the hands, and he dropped it. And I was like, what's going on with D-Hop? Like, D-Hop is D-Hop. Like, why are these guys dropping passes wide open? And so that's to me, it's kind of like when that same ballpark is like, would you keep an old superstar that clearly is regressing, clearly is going into maybe the wonder years of his career? Or do you say, you know what, because he had a decent stat line for a third wide receiver, not everybody really cooked this year when it came to stats. I don't think even anybody, as far as wide receiver, was over 1,000 yards. We know that DJ Moore was close to that, I think about 960 for him. But I wouldn't have a problem with Keenan Allen being tagged if it meant the continued maturation of the other receivers. I don't have an issue with it. And then again, I don't have an issue with it not happening. It's one of those things where it's like, okay if it happens, or okay if it doesn't happen. It's like you take it or leave it. And he said, Oscar said the cold might have affected him. Remember, he was playing in LA has better weather overall. I will admit, you come to Chicago, you might get a brick football thrown your way, and you don't know how to catch it. That is true. But my thing is, in all seriousness, Keenan Allen is still a talent. He's not somebody who's should be overlooked technically. A lot of people are saying, okay, time for him to go. Crimson says he's an auto trade. When he leaves, the Bears get a pick. That is true. They do get, I believe, a 4th rounder when he leaves. And so do you go that route? Do you say, you know what, maybe somebody in the 4th round who could be an up-and-coming piece, maybe it's speedster or a slot receiver that you wouldn't want to get there in the wide receiver 3 range? That's a good idea. There's so many different ways to go about this. I just think that if you're pro Keenan Allen, you look at the things that he brings to the table still. You bring that leadership, you bring the mentoring, the locker room, the chemistry. Those things I feel like should never be overlooked when it comes to a savvy veteran, a veteran receiver, a veteran star, because those things matter. I think those things matter outside of the production on the field, and the stats may be regressing. I feel like you can still find value in what he brings in the locker room and what he brings to the team. And quite honestly, that's what's needed for this organization. We talked about the culture changing. We can bring all of these different guys in. We can bring the coaches. We can bring his backup, his assistants. We can do all of those things. But if the culture in the locker room doesn't change, it's not going to affect. It's also going to affect what's going to be put on the field, the product on the field. And so I think there should be an importance on players who you retain that can impact and influence the locker room from just a leadership standpoint. It's not always about the numbers. You look at somebody like even a Kevin Byard, who had a really good season, over 130 tackles actually from the safety position. But even him, you look at him, he's regressed. But his importance is not just on the field. His importance is also brought in the locker room, the things that he says, how he impacts, the players around him, how he impacts the defensive players, how he impacts this roster. His voice goes a long way. And so I would say the same thing for Keenan Allen as well. Hopefully Pat comes in here, because I was going to say I have no way of getting us through to this Aura ad. I want to see real quick if I even have the power to take a break and give some time for our sponsors. I apparently do not. So I'm sorry, you guys. There will be no backdooring on this episode of the Morning Breeze. Maybe that's a good thing. But you all know our sponsors, the Aura ad, and also the roofing company. Shout out to our sponsors as always. We appreciate the support. And of course, continue to hit that like button. I do not know how many are in the chat right now, but I'm assuming it might be over 100. You guys let me know so I can do my pumps real quick. How many are actually in the chat? Is it over 100? Is it over 200? What do we got? What do we got, guys? Let me know. Oh, here we go. Relentless. You just gonna keep saying that, though. Oh, my. I said there will be no backdooring. Goodness. King Booker World, give me some grace. That's not a red flag. No backdooring on this episode. Oh, okay. We got 164 on the YouTube side. Okay. All right, 150. So I'm gonna do 100 in the chat. We got 100, so I'm gonna do the plumps. There's no music in the soundboard, so I'll just do the all right. Good. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Breeze, the undervalued edition of the Morning Breeze, because we know Pat the Designer is somehow being held hostage by Comcast right now. I don't know what's going on, but perhaps we'll have an abbreviated version of this Morning Breeze, because I know the other article that Pat wanted to bring out was the Athletic article. I want to make sure I bring up the right article real quick. So bear with me for a second, because he did send me the link. The one that I'm looking at, I'm not sure if it's the exact same one, but it's showing our picks from the first 2 rounds. I believe either the first 2 or 3 rounds that we could possibly go when it comes to the 2025 NFL draft. Let's see real quick. Sorry, guys. I want to make sure I at least am on the same page with the article that he wanted to bring up. I believe this is the one. And so when it comes to the draft, obviously we know we could go in a million different directions. We talked about like the draft, and it really, to me, it hinges on what we do in free agency, right? If we address so many different things on the trenches, we talked about, left guard. We talked about Tevin Jenkins at the same time, like either we retain him or not. We'll have to see if that's a direction that we go. If we actually Relentless Mikey said the Temu Breeze. Welcome to the Temu Breeze. Welcome to the welcome to the Comcast version of the Morning Breeze. If we go in a different direction on in the free agency, and say we get a Trey Smith, say we get Kevin Zeitler, say we get Drew Dahlman, we address actually 2 or 3 of those positions, right, in the draft, or rather in free agency, then I think that there's so many different directions that we go. Of course, we know Pat, he don't want to hear nothing about a running back in the first round. And of course, Truman just said it too. No running back in the first round. However, can I interest you guys in an Ask Genti at 10? You heard him say that he wants to actually come to Chicago. He kind of put it out there when he was interviewed. We know what you want, Joe. MacGyver Music. Shout out to him in the chat. He wants people movers. I ain't gonna lie. I would love people movers. And shout out to his graphic. I believe he was the one that showed if we get Jake Majors, I believe he said if you keep Teven Jenkins at left guard, then you also got who did you put it at left tackle, Joe? I think you had either Braxton Jones still there, or maybe you had a free agent. And then, of course, Trey Smith and Darnell Wright. That would be a meaty line. I'm not going to lie. The O-line would actually probably get fixed in a heartbeat if we go that route. However, I will say this. All jokes aside with the running back in the first round, I believe the mock draft that they have us at 10 is picking up Josh Simmons. Now, he's the offensive tackle from Ohio State. I want to get you guys' thoughts on Josh Simmons, because in my opinion, had Josh Simmons actually not gotten hurt, he probably would be the number one offensive tackle coming out of college right now, because we compare him to, you know, the likes of Will from LSU and also Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas. Those two guys are considered by title as, you know, tackles in college, and they have a lot of experience at left tackle. However, if you look at their size, you look at the measurables, I believe when it comes to the next level, they will probably be two of the better guards. If they were to switch position and go inside, I believe that those two will be better guards at the next level, just because they have shorter arms. You know, perhaps they can get taken advantage of when it comes to the bull rush or certain moves, pass rush moves when it comes to some of the more elite players in the NFL. And so for me, I feel like Josh Simmons would be that number one option at offensive tackle. Now, for me, I'm not going to lie. Maybe Josh Simmons would be somebody who can get, maybe if you trade back a little bit and you get maybe in the teens or in the 20s, I feel like because of his injury history, he's someone who would still be there. Let's say if you trade back from 10 to maybe the 15 to 20 range, and you still can get somebody like a Josh Simmons. I know a lot of people are saying you're scared. No to Simmons. A lot of people saying no ambulance attendees. I understand that's kind of the route that the Bears always go. They're always getting somebody that always has injury history, right? We talk about Keenan Allen. We just talked about Teven Jenkins. You don't want somebody that's coming into the league that already has that issue, right? But I mean, the talent and the skill set is undeniable when it comes to him being able to block. He would be undeniably the number one left tackle coming out of the draft if it were the case. Relentless Mikey saying, I want Wyatt Millam. Well, funny thing, Relentless Mikey, at 39, that's exactly who they say the Bears are going to get if he's there. The guard/center from West Virginia. He's somebody who could possibly be a swing lineman. You could see him maybe addressing a number of different positions on the offensive line. Oh my goodness, we got sideways Pat now, and Pat is now in his kitchen. All right, what's going on, Pat? How you doing there? Did you already send a note to Comcast?
We're live from the field here, JC. In a word, bad. There's no
How's the
internet
weather
access.
out there?
There's no internet access. It's bad in your neck of the woods.
I have no idea how I'm functioning and you're not, because usually I'm the one that's actually bad when it comes to connection. I don't know how I'm clear and you're not, dude.
Oh my God, bro! I'm so sick of this, bro. I'm ready to. I'm not gonna trash him.
To be
Comcast got good money.
Morning Breeze.
You know
That's
what
hilarious.
I mean? I'm not. By the way, I know you can't see it, but I can. We are over 300 in the chat.
Oh, I got 2 more pumps to go because
300.
I did 100.
300.
All right, okay. Jesus.
Yeah.
No, I was trying to. I didn't know if it was the exact article. You know might want to correct me on that, but the one that I had picked up, I don't know if you saw it at 10. Are we picking Josh Simmons, or do you have another article where we're going a different route?
The article that I have, it was talking about, you know, Fishbane and Adam Johns both had kind of both got different scenarios, right? Mason Graham fell to Adam Johns in one scenario. Will Campbell fell to Kevin Fishbane in the other scenario. And really the question was just, you know, what kind of situation would you rather be in? But I think the Josh Simmons conversation is a great one to bring up too, because if you are in a situation where, you know, maybe you feel, well, first off, if Mason Graham falls, you take Mason Graham. But
yeah,
if you are in a situation where, you know, Will Campbell's there and you're not 100% sold, do you move back, get more picks, and take the chance on a guy like Josh Simmons, who is probably the only real left tackle in this draft?
Yeah, right. That's my thing is, you know, going into the next level, we talked about it before. Some of the deficiencies for Will Campbell and Kevin Banks Jr. is just that they're measurables. Like, they're good tackles at the college level, but they probably would be better fitted. They would probably be Pro Bowlers at the guard position. Like, that's how good they would be if you put them on the inside. But legitimately, Josh Simmons is a guy that would be naturally fitting at tackle. I don't know if Pat, you're still there?
Can you still hear me?
screen. Okay, I can still hear you. I was about to say you went Black Pat there.
Hey, now I'm only half. Watch yourself.
You went full black on us.
Sorry about that.
But one of the things I did, because you mentioned Mason Graham, like here's my thing with that, because I heard Nick put out a video. Shout out to Just Another Year. He mentioned that Mason Graham would be available at 10. To me, that's a pipe dream. I would love for Mason Graham to fall all the way to 10 without us lifting a finger. However, I do not see that.
Yeah, no, Mason Graham to me is somebody you're going to have to trade up for. I think he's somebody who, in the long run of the conversation, is realistically, you may be talking about him as a top 5 pick. Now, the one thing that we can say is we always know, right? Somebody hypes up a quarterback. Somebody hypes up a running back. I heard you bastards trying to get Genty in there while I'm off the show. No Genty.
I mentioned running back while you were away. I'm sorry.
No Genty for you. Oh, I'm watching. Oh,
it's the Cardinals.
We got cellular data. We just don't have home internet. But no, man. Like you look at guys like that, and to me, those are the names that you say could potentially move him further down. But even then, are you telling me there's 9 players better in this draft than Mason Graham? Like, I can't find him. I can't see him.
Yeah. I don't think so either. You know what's funny is why I don't know if you're cooking breakfast now, but somebody just said Pat just wanted to go incognito so he could make some breakfast this morning. He said, that's why you're really down.
I didn't want you to see this steak and eggs I'm frying up over here, JC.
Hey, and this is actually a good point by Baki.
That's all that was.
You all know the NFL Combine will change the draft order. That's another thing that I think we've seen it from year to year. We always see names kind of fluctuate up and down the draft board. Around this time, a lot of people get a lot of, hype. But I think like when it comes to the draft time, you'll see a name come up draft boards that could replace somebody in the top 10, and then somebody in the top 10 kind of falls out of place. Now, do I think that's going to happen with Mason Graham? I don't think there's any other interior defensive lineman that can question or challenge Mason Graham for being number 1. I know there's names like Walter Nolan, and Kenneth Grant from Michigan as well. But those guys are kind of like second rounders as of right now. They could push up the draft a little bit, but nobody's really challenging, I think, Mason Graham for that position. So in my mind, again, you're not going to, I think, get to him at number 10. But if we're talking about, again, Will Campbell, obviously I think he'll be there. He could push up the boards. There's a sleeper name that I do want to talk about that I think is actually going to be more impactful when it comes to time for the draft, and that's Mike Green from I want to say no, he's not from Tulane. I can't remember where he's from right now. He could be Bowling Green. I could be wrong with that. But Mike Green is you said Mike Green.
Oh, sorry. I thought that's what I heard.
Green. No, we're not getting Mike Green. We're not getting Mike Green from the analysts. That would be hilarious.
I thought we were upgrading analysts here.
From Marshall. Thank you, Bears Junkie. Mike Green has been a name that has been kind of like a sleeper name, but he's starting to get some recognition. If you look at his tape, the guy is, you want to talk about not having to worry about somebody's motor. He is 110% go all time, all day, every day. He has a lot of pass rush moves. He's just not a one-trick pony. He's someone who is very talented, but just plays for maybe a second-tier type of college, and so his name hasn't been out there as much. But I believe he's someone who's going to push up boards as well. That could be very talented too. But again, going back to the tackle position, I don't have a problem with taking a chance on somebody like Josh Simmons if he's there, or if we were to move back, from that 10 spot. Because for me, I feel like, yes, you worry about the injuries. Yes, I know the Bears have a history of always going after the guy that's hurt, and that hasn't worked out well. But he's like the legitimate tackle out of college. He's like the legitimate offensive left tackle out of college that we need, that to me can easily replace. His
was a knee injury, right?
He had a knee injury. Actually, I just had it up. It mentioned he suffered a knee injury in mid-October, which required season-ending surgery. So
knee injury. I'm a little like, again, I'm not looking to bring in an injured player realistically at all at this point because
Yeah.
you know the chance you're taking, right? And then all you can do is go, well, we knew he was messed up in the long run. But I think that if you're going to take a Josh Simmons, you have to get back enough of a haul for it to be, and of course I'm using haul facetiously here. You're not getting a haul for the 10th overall pick, but like you have to get back enough picks there for you to have so many bites at the apple that you know somebody's going to become a star out of this trade. I think the big question though is, right, do you feel comfortable taking a potential guard at 10? Do you feel comfortable taking a Will Campbell if he is there at 10? Do you feel comfortable taking somebody who may be on the interior of the offensive line at 10? And if you do, you know, I think that that's a conversation worth having where you it's not that it can't change your offensive line. You look at what the Colts did by bringing in Quentin Nelson, right? He's a guard. He changed the entire offensive line for that team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was the he's the motor. He's the leader. He's the guy that everyone looks to. If you feel like you have that player there, which I think Will Campbell could be, I think that there is a conversation for that. But outside of that, I think it makes it tough for you to be trying to take guards at 10.
I feel like it's not the end of the world just because there's so many good prospects at that position. And it's a deep draft with guards. There's a lot of, it's crazy. It's deep draft with guards, and it's a deep draft with running backs. One we don't need, one we do need. And I feel like in the second round, you know, like Relentless Mikey mentioned, you have a name like Wyatt Millum. We even talked about a name from North Dakota State, and Gray Zabel. Like, I like his film. So even if you don't have maybe the same potential, I feel like that still would be an upgrade if you get somebody like that in the second round, who would clearly be an upgrade on anything that we have already here with the team. You even mentioned Tyler Booker also would be a safe pick. And see, that's the thing is, would you go the safe route, or at the same time, if you know you can address guard in the second round, do you just go for best player available? Because then at the same time, that's where the question does come in for Ashton Jeanty. I know you don't want to hear it, but at 10, his stock is obviously he's running back 1. And so do you go for BPA and then say we can still get the guard or the tackle that will be better than anything that we have here on the line at 39 and 41, and then of course address whatever we were going to do in free agency?
Again, like I'm not taking a chance on the running back. You know what I mean? I'm not. Like, it's not even running back hate at this point. Is there going to be another tackle that that is better for the conversation? Is there going to be another is there going to be another defensive end that I could take in the first round? Because again, right, if it's not the top guy, that doesn't mean that there's not still somebody incredibly talented in the trenches that you can take there. And I think that's the conversation you have to have. Running back is one that we know we can find later. Running back's one we know we can get a
We know
we can get. You just said it. It's incredibly deep at running back this year. Like, if there is somebody, it's not the same. It's nowhere near apples to apples. But it's like I said with Tory Taylor, right? If one player pans out after him, you missed on the pick.
Good day, Tory Taylor. God.
If one player pans out, you missed on the pick. And guess what?
One player
looks amazing. You missed.
So that's crazy to say that, though. Like, everybody after Tory Taylor from the 4th to the 7th round, if they hit, you messed up on it.
Yeah,
they got punter.
Now again, it's not the same situation as that, right? Because realistically, Ashton Jeanty could have a really good career, but you need trenches help. If you sit there and look at the rest of the first round and say we picked a running back at 10, and there's a interior defensive lineman that went at 16 who's a game wrecker, it makes it tough. Look at the Rome Odunze situation this year. I think Rome is going to be phenomenal. I think he's going to be a great wide receiver. I think he's going to take a great leap in the right direction. I would rather have Jared Verse right now.
Well, I think MacGyver Music would also agree with that as well. Yeah.
He was one of the few banging the table for Jared Verse.
I know he was.
He's got tears in his eyes. He'll get over it. He also banged the table for Zach Edey though, and
is he? What is that? 9.3 points down.
Let's just say that he don't have many games left.
There will be a free steak for Pat coming up soon.
I'm heading towards and I'm gonna make him pay.
But you know what? I agree with you, and I agree with that with the sentiment from Baki is that honestly, maybe it'll take a little patience because I think the combine is going to show us what prospects are going to kind of push their stock up, what really is going to kind of shine through when it comes to a lot of these names that we're talking about. We'll see if a Will Campbell maybe even could push his stock up even more, or he's outside of the 10 range. I think it depends on that. We'll have to see. Shout out to Oscar. It says, JC, what we do in the draft all depends on what we do in free agency. I totally agree with that. If we pick up at least 2 starters on the O-line, then I want to see us get an edge rusher with the 10th pick. Look at the Super Bowl. I agree. And I think this is a copycat league where we talked about it. Look at the teams that are successful and that made it to the end of the dance. Why did Kansas City ultimately not win and make history? Well, look at what Philly had on that defensive line. Look at the pressure that they continue to put on Patrick. Like, yes, you want the trenches addressed from both sides.
Man, we got to break down the last 3 years of their draft, bro. Like, oh my God, from 2021 to now, bro.
Philly or Kansas?
It's Philly. Oh my God.
Yeah, Philly's been cooking.
And that's what it cracks me up when people are like, listen, if you are a good GM, you only got to hit 1 out of 2 times. And I'm like,
no, bro.
He hit like 85% in the draft. He almost didn't miss.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Hey, oh Lord, have mercy! I should have known Hayes was gonna come in here at some point.
Look.
Try to grill me on I don't have a white barber. I have a brother. Okay, his name is Flex, and I don't appreciate.
He's incredibly black.
His name is Flex. Like he's definitely black.
Hey, Hayes. I hate to break it to you this way, but I ain't gonna be on Locked On Bulls this morning, brother.
Shout out to Comcast. Hopefully Hayes can be on Locked On Bulls. Hopefully his internet is good. No, but that pretty much was the basis of the conversation for this morning, man. We appreciate everybody in the chat that gave their opinion as well. Pat, you got anything else for us, man, before we close out the show?
I'm gonna go yell at some people in a very Caucasian voice to get what I want done. You know what I mean?
You're gonna use your Italian side.
I'm not gonna stand for this.
What are you doing out here? Okay, all right. Cool,
I'm using it. I'm throwing felonious out there.
All right, guys. Well, Pat, I guess that's the end of the show. We appreciate everybody tuning in to this really a Temu version of the Morning Breeze. And he's your main host, Pat the Designer. I'm the co-host, Jordan JC, Mr. Meaty. And hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow on a better version of Tuesday's Morning Breeze. Peace.